So, as someone who is professionally trained in, most of us do not have a very professional background like that, which is amazing that you do because we need more of that. Were there any things that you set up when you were running your company now that either picked up from school or from previous finance roles that are maybe good best practices that others can use?
Yeah. I think the one metric that kind of changed our business and how we look at our business is we were so focused before on our actual margin percentage. We were so focused, it has to be 40%, 50%, right? And then we were talking to some other people and they said, listen, like margin percentage is great, but you should actually be looking at the margin dollar that you're actually going to be bringing home, right? And that kind of transformed our business where on a pen, let's say, we could be making 80% margin, right? But the actual margin dollar might be 20 cents. And so it was really focusing on, okay, how much margin dollars are we actually making on each item? And not focusing so much on the actual margin percent, because you could be making 200% margin, but if the actual margin dollar is only 20 cents, it might not.
Then who cares?
Right.
Interesting. That's a similar concept. We had a guy on the show, Nick, who started printprofit.com, and he's helping shops do something similar to that, literally where you're like adding, he calls it contribution margin, but it's sort of similar, and you're adding it to a bucket of your overhead, and that when you break even, then the rest is called profit for that month. What was, so before you made that shift and after you made that shift, what was it like? How did that retrain you, maybe the sales team or whoever you're working with?
Yeah, well, because we're kind of just, brokers, right? So we're always just seeing how much we can mock up a product. Our sales team and project managers that were quoting out projects, they were always so focused on the margin percentage, where on a t-shirt in the corporate space, we might be charging $15 for a t-shirt.
Right.
Before we were actually looking at the margin dollar, if the t-shirt costs $4 from Sanmar, another $2 for us to print it, we were only going to charge $11.50 or $12 based on our margin percentage. But then once we kind of looked and say, okay, how much actual margin dollars can we try to squeeze out of this product? We could then charge 15 versus the $12 we were charging before.
And then who cares about selling the low margin dollar items?
Right.
It's like, don't even waste time pitching in and creating mock-ups and all that stuff.
Right.